We call this not overthinking it. Okay, so intention setting. I want to, number one, just say hi. Thanks for being here. My name is Erin. I have been leading intention setting type of conversations for a very long time, primarily with myself and in groups of people where we kind of work through our understanding of an intention. And I want to say there's a lot out there. There are a lot of teachings, there are a lot of teachers, there are a lot of articles, and at the end of the day, the right way to do this is the way that feels right for you. However, what I want to offer is my personal practice. I am a growth oriented person. I self assess a lot. Um, my focus on personal growth and evolution of just the things that are meaningful to me can actually sometimes be a distraction, and take me out of the present moment and getting the things done that actually align with all of these intentions and all the work that I've been doing. And so I say that to you because at the end of the day, for me, I have to go to what quote unquote always works for me. I share this from time to time that I decided the only thing I can really be consistent in is being inconsistent. That was my way of just giving myself a nice big blanket of grace and acceptance. And as I have applied that, I've actually become consistent in certain things. For example, if you struggle with a morning routine, have your morning routine be waking up, breathing in, and feeling into what you want to do next. That's a great morning routine. Because I'm growth minded, when I sit and self assess, I easily end up with a very long to do list. I'm going to approach my basement. I'm going to go to Whole Foods. I'm going to get XYZ to eat. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to walk my dogs more. And I come up with this schedule and I create a spreadsheet and I feel so productive until like a week or two later, and it doesn't really work that way, and I need to make another spreadsheet. And it puts me in this loop of, have I become the person I've been trying to become? Am I there yet? And what I want to offer to you is something I teach in a lot of my classes, which is to let yourself be the person you've been becoming. You are that person now. Give credit to every single day that's come before today, every single decision, and breathe it in and be right here and right now. Everything that you have experienced is your teaching. Everything that you value, this is part of your energy base, part of the thing that's going to move you. And remember that Yoga Sutra teaches that it's not just time and consistency that's needed to firmly root a practice, it's devotion. You have to love it. You have to feel passionate. And what makes me feel passionate is going to be different for you every day of the week. But I think a lot of times, especially as modern American women, I am assuming more people beyond that demographic can relate to this, but I know from experience and from community that we kind of skip the devotion piece. And we just say that to be firmly rooted, we have to be consistent. And so in this little video, in this little walkthrough, I just want to offer maybe a few steps to get into a place of timeless intentionality. Okay, so we are going to begin by breathing in, and I'm going to offer you a little model. So back when I had my big worldview shift, I was like 27, and I went through this whole like Why do I live where I live? Why do I love who I love? Did I choose these things, or am I on autopilot? I looked at every single thing I was doing, from recycling to volunteering in my church to time with my family to ways I interacted with my daughter. I wrote them all down. Told you, big on self-assessment here. And I lined them up to a trait. It's a scripture-based trait. It's called the fruit of the Spirit. It's like the mark of spiritual life. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, and goodness. And I just put everything that I did in a bucket of these things. So that way, when I was doing the dishes, it wasn't just me doing work, but I saw that as aligned to self-control. When I recycled, it wasn't just me recycling. I had aligned, this is me exercising goodness. Okay. And then things like self-tanning, going to the tanning bed, I couldn't really pick a bucket. So no more tanning beds for Erin. And in this practice, I started to play with what is the difference between a motive and an intention. I had started going to yoga and been, invited to set an intention for my practice. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I remember exactly where I was sitting, working through this little model. In order to give myself a foundation for my life. And that is that at the end of the day, we're all moved in one way or another. And those motives drive our intentions. So your intention is your specific direction, your specific harnessing of your motive in your life. And this intention is going to drive your actions. And as you act, you're going to interact with life. Here's a good example. You're hungry. Motive, underlying need. Motives are basically your underlying emotions, needs, desires. Some people might even put Dharma in here, the teaching of your life that aligns your highest self to your circumstance in order for you as an individual to do your best to bring balance. Your underlying motive here in this example is hunger. It's a need that you have. And so your intention is to eat when you're hungry. To eat. And so your action is to go and get a banana. And then you interact. You might interact with a person in the store when you go buy said banana. You might interact with the banana itself in the present moment, with the body and your awareness, sensory input. But that's the general flow, that underneath everything you're doing, there's a motive. And so when your kid is screaming in the back seat of the minivan, and your kid, this is from my personal experience, and you're about to interact, you can kind of reverse engineer it. Okay, what needs to happen here? Do you need to pull over? Okay. Do you need to provide something for this child? And your action at that point, your pause before you tell them to knock it off, before you indirectly shame them, before you give them a warning that doesn't really mean anything, you're going to pause. You're going to step it back. What needs to happen? What's your intention? Okay? And when your intentions are coming from fear, self-control might be helpful. When your intentions, when your actions are coming backwards and they're flowing into a place of a need for control, patience might be a better motive. Okay? The motive at the end of the day reflects your value system, who you are. And that value system has been around your entire life. It is something that is able to be found in what you love to do and what feels energetic for you. So, there is a sheet in your workbook called What Moves You. So let's just start. In order to identify your motive, just focus in a little bit on your life. And when you are all set with those questions, we'll proceed. Okay, so you've worked through these questions and you have an idea of where you want to see change. You have an idea of what you're ready to release. You have an idea of the values that come into play. You have an idea of what is inspiring to you, what's energizing to you. I am going to offer you to consider, as a starting point, do these feel like love, like joy, or like peace? Because these are great universal, non-denominational motives for things. And when you want to isolate and shut down and disconnect, that can be a great reminder to look for love. When you have a motive of joy and you start to feel disheartened, hopeless, uninspired, that is a great way to understand that it's time to look for joy and what brings you joy. And that can be big joy, like a fountain, like a mountain. That could be little joy. Like, I always tell this story. One time I was just sitting kind of mad on my front steps, and I looked down and I saw this ant carrying this absolutely massive piece of cracker. And oh man, did it make me laugh. Little joy is sometimes very little. And peace, your desire for peace, is also a fantastic motive. And it's a great way to navigate life, looking for when you want to tell somebody how it works. You want to tell them exactly what to do. You know, when you have that need to predict, it's a big one. Great invitation for peace. Anyway, but regardless, you can look at that and just say, you know, what is the underlying emotion or need or desire that moves you? Okay? And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just pick one. And then write a little note to your future self who's experiencing the benefits from this practice. Just check in with him or her or them right now and just be like, hey, you. I bet you are. How does it feel too? And sometimes what I find to be specifically like really rewarding is being grateful for my future self. And the reason why is because I often thank my past self. Like very often I'll be experiencing something and I'll be like, good job, Erin of the past. Way to think about this. Way to sneak something in the drawer for me to find later. Okay, we're moving on. So if you go to the next page, you are going to find Bum, 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 your compass. So if you consider that your motive is what moves. So a lot of times the metaphor that's given is that there's like the wind and then there's the sail of the sailboat. And a motive is like the wind that's rushing through, and the sailboat harnesses the wind and directs the boat. Okay? So if this metaphor works for you, you can consider yourself as the steerer of said sailboat. And ultimately, your ability to navigate life's changeable nature is up to your mindset. So, motive is the force that moves you, and your intention is that guiding focus that captures what moves you. And in this, you're going to have your actions and interactions play out. So when we step through the example that you've decided this underlying motivation that's true for you day in and day out is a desire for peace. Your intention that may kind of ebb and flow, shift and change over time as life changes, as you grow, would be something like cultivating calm each day. So because I desire peace, because peace is something that I value, peace is my underlying motive, each day you look to harness that by cultivating calm. And that drives your action. So a habit that you might try to put in place is enjoying a cup of tea in the morning. The mindset comes in when you have to think about what happens that morning that you wake up and you're out of tea. What happens that morning that you wake up and you are on an overnight stay at the hospital, either for you or someone else? Your inability to have a cup of tea in your favorite spot does not take away the intention. The intention is there. The intention is timeless. Okay? But your ability to do that relies on your mental game, your left brain muscle that's gonna say, well, I biffed it. I gotta start over. I have to do a whole new self-assessment. I need to sign up for another workshop. Or how do I cultivate calm in this moment? That's my intention because I desire peace, because that's part of my life's purpose. That's my design. So you have a worksheet here with common mindsets, common thinking that tends to come up, thoughts that come up that indicate perhaps you have a mindset shift that needs to be made. Okay? So take some time, work through, just note what feels true to you, and then we're going to rewrite them. All right. So pick one or two of the mindsets that felt the most real, the most true to you. And we're going to rewrite it in its positive opposite. One of the things that Yoga Sutra teaches is that when a negative thought comes to mind, you must hold in steadiness its positive opposite. So we're going to just step through them. I'm going to give some ideas. So my abilities or circumstances cannot be changed. You can just rewrite it. My abilities or circumstances can be changed. I avoid trying new things because I'm afraid of making mistakes. I embrace trying new things and the process of learning. I would rather not do something unless I have a thorough plan. I am adaptable and able to evolve as I'm working towards my goal. By the way, that one is very personal to me. I have a hard time believing I will see the results I desire. I know the results I desire will come in one fashion or another. I share this often that as of the time I'm recording this, 2 years ago, I made a 5-year plan. And the end of that 5-year plan was to own a yoga studio. It's year 2, and I own a yoga studio. Now, some people might say, that's amazing. You are so ahead of schedule. For me, it's been terrifying because there were a lot of things that I was going to learn and do. In a lot of ways, I planned on growing before taking on the work and the effort of a studio. The reason why I share it is because when you are looking at this type of practice, when you are consistent in this underlying motive, for me, it is connection. Meaningful experiences is my intention because I value love. I find love to be a foolproof motive. Love will always bring me back to my body because I can love that first. Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I need to lay down? Do I need to move? And then from that place, I can move into what does love look like? What does creating meaningful experiences look like beyond my personal experience? So that was the math that I put in place in that 5-year plan. The point being that you don't know the future. You just don't know the future. But when you are aligned to your highest self, when you are looking at the emotions, needs, and desires that are true for you, when you're applying the teaching of your life, the purpose of your life, you really aren't going to end up in a wrong place. You're going to end up in your place, time and time again. There are many odds stacked against me. I am my own person and can make my own decisions. What I want will negatively affect the people around me. I will love the people around me. I will respect the people around me in the wake of these important decisions. It feels incredibly vulnerable thinking about others noticing I am trying something new. It is so hard when people can tell you're trying. I am confident in trying something new. I am afraid of success or feel I don't deserve it. I deserve success. I do not have enough money, time, or resources to make the change I want to make. This is so big for so many people. You have exactly what you need. One of the most transformative talks I ever heard, the message was, you always have exactly what you need to get started. You just might have the ending wrong. I started too late in life to ever really reach the goal I desire. I have heard this from dozens and dozens and dozens of women in my time working in women's community. And I just want to say it's just not too late. I had a luncheon years ago and I was sharing and leading, and a woman said to me after, I'm 70 and I just started reading scripture and I'm just kicking myself. And I thought about it a lot because for her, she felt like, she doesn't have this teaching, or she doesn't have this understanding. And so I wrote her a little note as I walked out the door, and I said, in the note, it just said, life has been preparing you. And so I know with confidence that as you start to read scripture, there are going to be things you come across that are validated because they've always been true for you. You've always thought that. You've always wondered that. It's been a question. So in a lot of ways, for her entry into reading scripture is about to be probably really powerful. But yeah, with yoga and exercise and eating a certain way and, and sometimes this thinking will stop you in your tracks thinking like, well, what's the point of starting now? So really work on that one. And maybe something that would be powerful here is I'm starting exactly where and when I need to start. Or this is one of my favorites. Everything is always happening. I say that all the time. Everything people say should work, I've tried before and it doesn't work for me. This one is just, I think, one of the biggest excuses in the book. And really, this mindset, I think, is probably one of the reasons why the things that you've tried before haven't worked. So, I think probably a good way to rewrite this one is, this is my life, and I get to do with it what I choose. I struggle with discipline and willpower. I have willpower. It's overwhelming to think of everything that will change if I make a decision. I live in the present moment. I am present. I am present. I am present. I am present. I cannot tell you how many times I've worked with women in conversations where they don't accept a first date, or they don't apply for a job because of a hypothetical situation that may or may not happen if such and such I mean, it's like this whole big chess game. Knock it off. Just knock it off. Be present. What's your intention? Underlying motive. Every day of the week. Timeless intentions. It's hard to pick a focus. I feel like I have to pick one thing or another. There is no one right way. I am right in my present moment intention. I trust myself. So, every single day, you're going to have an opportunity to harness the power of your motivation through your intention. Sometimes you are going to have an abundance of motivation, of energy. Someday it's going to be not so obvious. Motivation is not something outside of you that will or won't come. One of my favorite stories is when my daughter, she was like 6 or 7, and she was praying for a friend of ours who was dying, and she said, God, send her all of her might. And I was like, wait, that's amazing. It's not that there's some might store that we need to order the right amount. It's that you have a reservoir of might that is at your disposal. And to send her all of her might really felt to me just like a reminder that it's there. And so when you work with this model, when you think about your motive, don't think about, I have no inspiration today, so I'm just not going to do anything, right? I feel sad today, so I can't be intentional, right? Your full spectrum of the emotional experience, every single thing that you can have going on in a given day, these are all invitations to go back to your desire for love, your desire for connection, your desire for joy, and consider the intention that you have to create, to seek. I am, I honor, right? These, no matter what the day is like, they will work. And if you run into this thing and you're like, well, it doesn't really work, call me. Come to class. Email me, because put it in the comments, because it might just be a little tweak, and there might be a mindset shift that's getting in your way. And mindsets often get hooked into intentions. And it's interesting because when you start to put the goal, the habit, in the future, in the action, and when you peel out the mindset, intentions become really, really pure. Okay? It's not an intention that I am going to start believing I am worthy of success. That's not the intention. I'm laughing because that used to be how I did it. I am worthy of success. I have self-discipline. And no. The mindset is the thing that helps you navigate life with an intention of creating meaningful experiences, seeking beauty and joy, finding inspiration in ordinary life. That is a timeless intention that your mindset serves. Your mind serves you. You don't serve your mind. So get the mental stuff out of the intention. Okay. And so now we have the final piece. So by really working with your mind, focusing on abundance, possibilities, and growth, alternate ways to stay aligned are going to surface. As you practice this alignment, as you practice seeking beauty and joy, as you practice creating meaningful experiences, as you practice capturing the joy in ordinary life, the habits and the goals that need to go or need to come into play will surface. And I am sitting recording this in an incredibly messy office. It's actually comical. I have a piece of balloon, an empty bag of peanuts. I did not plan this. Here, a charter bill. It's been paid. Just need it. A plastic fork. A picture of my book. This could be a shameless plug. A really cool little book and a gift. A tuner. Another balloon. A bag. Cleaning my office is on my to-do list. It's something that I think I have to do. But my motivation of love has an intention to create meaningful experiences, and you guys aren't coming over today. You're watching this. You're interested in creating intention. And so this actually is a huge invitation to freedom. One of the best night's sleep I have ever had was when I realized that the to-do list really didn't matter. The to-do list really didn't matter. At the end of the day, I needed to breathe in and live my life, because this is the one life that I have in this body at this time, with this skill set, with these people, at this place. And so you gotta lean in. All right, guys, feel free to reach out. Thank you for everything. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good one.